to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
How was French Fest?
Honestly, it wasn't as good as last season, I'll be honest.
No?
It just was a little less disorganized this time, and I was a little bummed because I'm a season ticket, half-season ticket holder, but still counts the same. And they didn't do anything special for season ticket holders this year, whereas last year they did. So that was a little bit of a, I shouldn't say that, but it was a contest. So like season ticket holders could enter a contest to win Sens serving them breakfast. So some people got to meet like Tim Stützle and like some of the other prominent players and get pictures and breakfast from them. But I was not a fortunate winner, so I was lumped in with the rabble, the rest of the folk.
With the scraps. Oh, well, you heard from the man himself. It is preview 2, everybody, and I want to welcome Matt from Senstennial for our Atlantic show.
I love that title. Like that. Sick.
Thank you. It's because so Ottawa at Parliament, they have the Centennial Flame. So I was like, I'm gonna go with Senstennial. It fits well, and I like it, so it's stuck.
That's awesome.
And thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to do this. So
yeah, we're excited to have you. We had Jason on for the Pacific from Vegas Fever. He was really fun.
It's funny. Very funny.
It's cool getting to do it this year with reaching out to people and getting to do it with friends this year from the network. So we're gonna have a good time.
For sure. I'm ready to get going.
It was very cool to see just opening with your Sens Fest story, because I mean you were there, right? Yeah. So, and we're gonna do this, probably similar to what we did with Jason. Just run through the 1 through 8 and talk about every team as it stands.
Yeah.
But like I do want to open with, because we're curious guys and we're media guys. Like, how do you guys run your show? How do you guys do your thing?
Oh boy. Well, to preface it, like I briefly wrote for the Hockey Writers for like 6 months. A long while ago, I can't remember now. After I wrote like my own blog under the Senstennial for a little bit, and then decided like I didn't really like some of the way things were handled there, so then decided, hey, why not start a podcast? And it was like literally a month before the pandemic got underway, so so
timing.
It was had to kind of innovate because we were all recording from my house at the time, so we had to figure out how to do recording through other means. Anyway, all that to say, I don't know, usually we just kind of like pick the topics we want, and then whatever's relevant or latest or popping off, we roll with that, and then we kind of see where the conversation takes us. But we at least have like a loosely defined agenda. But for opinions and stuff like hot takes, it's all authentic, because most of the time, I'd say like 95% of the time, we go into an episode not knowing if the other person has like some secretive hot take that they want to share with the rest of the podcast. So that always makes it fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't do that more. Like we just have banter and then Jay rants on something for like 5 minutes and then like, obviously we have our Columbus news. We try to cover big league stories and then just kind of talk about whatever. Like we've mentioned this before that we do kind of model ourselves after Dangle's show.
Okay.
So just kind of, talking about whatever while focusing on our team at the same time.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's fun. Like we have fun, because we haven't seen each other for years in person. So this is our biggest way to like stay in touch.
So do you both live in Ohio or outside of Ohio?
We're both in Ohio.
North Ohio. He's more towards South Ohio.
Gotcha.
Like South Central-ish. Yeah. So we're a little far apart, but we can at least meet in the middle whenever the season starts.
Yeah.
And that's going to be fun. So yeah, I just want to go and probably go through the 1 through 8 like we did, and then just kind of, you want to do it in pairs again, Jay? Like
I think so, and I think it's a lot of fun starting from like the bottom teams.
Starting from the bottom, yeah.
I really enjoyed doing that for the Pacific because you probably didn't get a chance to catch it, Matt. But talking about the Sharks and Ducks was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
well,
made me feel bad not recognizing that Duke is a Shark now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Duclair was a former Ottawa Senator too.
Former
Well,
Senator,
I know,
former
I
Blue
know you guys
Jacket.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been around.
Yeah. No, I won't forget the hat trick he scored against Columbus to piss off Tortorella. That was chef's kiss. That was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, starting at number 8, like I mean, we can just right off the bat throw my girlfriend's favorite team under the bus, like Montreal, man.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and throw them under the bus, sure. But like Matt, go ahead and just give me your 1 to 8.
Oh God. I would honestly have to debate a little bit. I think like not even bias aside being a Sens fan, I think just naturally where Montreal is, they're in a rebuilding state. I think 8 is totally fair for them. I think they have some good pieces to build from. I really like Montembeault and Net. I watched because
Monty's
of
nice.
because of my girlfriend being a Habs fan. I've watched a lot of Montreal games. Montembeault's kept them in a lot of games. I know his numbers don't really reflect that, but I mean, he had an
goal
above
saved above expected.
Yeah,
He supported it.
and he played well. Like honestly, he was good. So I think he's still fairly young for a goalie. Goalies, always kind of develop later.
Yeah.
Aside from that, they have like Goalie, who I think will be a pretty competent top 4 defenseman.
We'll go through that when we actually talk like in depth Montreal.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, but okay, we'll get there. 7, like
I just didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that's totally cool. Actually, you know what would really help instead of just having the stats of all the teams here.
Pull your list up.
Standings of last year. Yeah, so like honestly, I could see Florida or Boston maybe not being 7th, but definitely slipping. I know Detroit got Alex DeBrincat, and I swear I'm not salty when I say this, but I truly think that Detroit is still going to be in that 7 slot. I don't like the makeup of their team. I just doesn't feel playoff caliber to me. Obviously that top line's good, but after that, like there's not a lot doing it for me. So I'll say Detroit 7. In the 6th slot, I'm gonna say like Florida. They've dealt with some pretty rough injuries. They're going into the season without Ekblad and I believe Reinhart. They're missing some key pieces, so that'll hurt them. Do you want me to keep rambling off here?
Yeah.
Just go down the list. Go down the list.
So number 5, I'm actually gonna throw Boston in this spot. I think Boston last year, everyone was like, well, don't sleep on Boston. And I think that was fair. They still had a good roster. This year, they've now lost from like the trade deadline to now, like Orlov, Hall,
huge key
Krejci, Bergeron, obviously. You can't forget about him. Like they've lost a lot of talented players. And so I think it's going to be very difficult to repeat the season they had. So for me, Boston takes that 5th spot. And I think after that, I think Buffalo or Ottawa go into that 4 spot. Like I haven't decided, who goes where, but I think Buffalo and Ottawa will be neck and neck this season. They both have young cores. I think I like Ottawa's goaltending better. It's just more experienced. Buffalo's X factor is really going to be how Devin Levi plays this season, but I that's why for me Ottawa's goaltending is more established. But overall, I think those rosters will be neck and neck. And then
Devin beat us today.
Yeah. I actually didn't check any of the scores, to be honest with you, but in the number 2 spot, I think it'll be Tampa, and even without Vasilevsky, I think they'll get off to maybe a bit of a slow start because Vasilevsky will need to recover from his surgery, but I think they'll still be able to hang number 2. And I honestly think, as much as I'm a Sens fan, Toronto has done really well in the regular season. I think they still take the number 1 Atlantic Division spot, as much as it pains me to say so. I think Ottawa will be able to maybe take that crown in a year or two, but not ready to put that much hopium in the team just yet. So
hopium, I like that.
Like that a lot, yeah.
Jay, go for it, buddy.
All right, so we'll start with 7 because Montreal is 8.
Because yes.
I'm putting. God, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Detroit
Okay.
I do like their coach. I can't remember his name, but
Lalonde.
Coach Grew. Uh,
Nick Lalonde.
um,
Or
okay,
something.
yeah, Derek Lalonde.
Is it
Right?
Derek? I thought it was Nick. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Lalonde's his last name. We got it.
6. I'm gonna go Buffalo. I like Buffalo's rebuild. I like the core they're building, but I think they're a year away from really getting there. Devin Levi's a young goalkeeper. I think he's gonna be really good, but he's so young. That team is so young, and rebuilds aren't always linear. It feels like this should be a year that they jump to the playoffs, but that's not always how it happens. And the division's just so loaded.
But it
I'll pick,
always is.
yeah, I'll pick Ottawa 5. They'll be battling for that wild card. I do like the core, the build of the team. I'm very curious about how they look in net with 2 former Blue Jackets.
2 former Blue Jackets backups.
Yeah, in Portosalo. God, it's tough because like there's some teams here that are good but flawed. I think I'll go Florida at 4.
Okay.
I think they're going to get off to a little bit of a slow start. The injuries, coming off of a cup final run, they had a whole bunch of injuries on the run itself. I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to wake up to get into the season. I'll take Boston at 3.
Okay.
They lost a lot of pieces. Is Pavel Zacha a 1C? No, he is not. They do not have a 1C. But I think that's one thing that they will address. So part of me making that pick is the belief that they will do something about it. They're still so strong on defense and in net that, they can afford a couple of injuries here and there. The forward group is really what's going to have to step it up this season. Tampa 2. Tampa, I think they're, maybe this is me just being an idiot, but Tampa just feels like they're going to like Hugo Alnefeld. He's like a former 3rd round pick of them, young guy. Like I don't know why. I haven't watched him. I haven't seen his numbers in the A. He just feels like a guy who's going to come up and just drop like a 919 out of nowhere. And people are going to be like, where the hell are they finding these guys? Like, I think they're fine without Vasilevsky for some reason because they're just such a team.
I don't know.
John Cooper's going to get that team playing in front of whatever keepers in that. So I'm not too concerned about that. And the Leafs are great in the regular season. It feels like this is the kind of year, the perfect year for them to go out and take a division. Now, whether that actually has an impact on playoff success or not, we'll have to see.
The biggest question, right?
They're as far as I'm looking, I have questions about the Leafs in terms of trying to win a cup, but in terms of winning regular season hockey games, I think they're probably the most complete team in this division as of right now. With where we stand since Vasilevsky is going to be out, I feel like I'd probably pick Tampa if he wasn't, but as is he is hurt. So
I think so. I have probably the most variety. Like you guys sound like you're pretty lockstep
for the most part. Yeah,
for the most part. I do have some flip-flops in here. They're in my closet somewhere. But as for
on with it, Jake.
My standings, yes, Montreal's 8. There's no question.
Good. That's all that matters. I can deal with the flip-flops as long as Montreal is
8. Detroit, I still have at 7. Because like it's so strange with Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo, and where all these rebuilds are, right? Because they all should feel like they should be fighting for that, but at the same time, Detroit, what are you doing? Stevie, what's the Iser plan now? I have Boston at 6. I have it's just they had this crazy, we never knew that these injuries were going to be a fire that lit under him to win a President's Trophy and then get swept in the first round.
They didn't get swept.
Was it 5?
No, they lost in 7.
Yeah, it was 7.
You silly goose.
Well,
They're not Tampa from 2019.
But
that was a fun series.
I agree.
I loved that series. I do think that they're going to take the biggest hit, though.
I can see it. Well, I don't hate it.
I've got Buffalo at 5 and sniffing. Probably like if they don't make second wild card, they'll be just outside of it. Because I do love what they're doing now that the hockey people can actually do their hockey thing.
Yeah.
I've got Tampa at 4. We know Vasi is out for the first 2 months. And, we could talk about Tampa when we actually talk about that. But, like, that's a huge the first 2 months of the season can make or break, as Matt, I think you would know this based off of poor Novembers, can make or break your season in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, Ottawa just has even just a 500 record in November last season. They are in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, so I think Tampa is going to slip all the way down to 4. And we even know, they just need to make it in to do anything, make any noise, but they're also exhausted.
Well, I think Vasilevsky was saying that too. He's like, obviously as a competitive player, he wanted to, go win the Stanley Cup, but he said it wasn't the worst thing in the world to have an early summer because that team has had a lot of long seasons recently.
That's part of the reason I like the Lightning so much, is knowing how much time they've had off, which is something they're not used to in these last few years.
I have the Ottawa Senators in 3rd. I think they have the best chance. Sure, cap for Kubalik is one thing. Corpy is finally going to get a chance to be a starter, and we've seen that he, in Columbus at least, we've seen that he's kind of on and off with that. But he's got decent young defense around him that can help protect him a little better than ours could.
Yeah.
So him and Anton are going to be fine. I miss Forsberg so much. God, I'm glad you guys are taking good care of him. Florida, I think, is going to fall into they're going to be Boston from last year. Essentially,
really,
with the long-term injuries that they have to start this year, I still think they're going to be fine. Maybe not President's Trophy winning fine, but they're going to be fine. And then Toronto winning the division. I just think it's about time they did something like that.
Yeah, I could.
I'm not just saying that wearing my Mitchie jersey. I'm not just being a homer here.
It'll be good to finally raise a banner.
Raise something. All right, bottom to top. Marty St. Louis in Montreal.
Yeah, so we got Montreal and Detroit up first, so we'll do these in Paris. Montreal, look, that's a rebuilding team. No shame in that. Rebuilds are a thing that need to happen sometimes. Obviously, super curious about what happens with Uri Slafkovsky this year. I didn't really like that they played him in the NHL last year. It's an upside pick. That's why they picked him. Big guy. They're hoping his skills develop. Not the kind of player you want to rush. So that's going to be huge for their rebuild. But other than that, we talked about some of the young pieces. The good thing for a team like Montreal is, you're going to finish somewhere close to the bottom again this year and get another good draft pick. But you have the opportunity to see how some of these young guys look. Caden Gooley, as you mentioned, I like him. Kirby Dach was a bright spot last year. You hope that you can get that again from him.
I hope Docker can follow that up because, I liked him just as a young pick with Chicago that never actually gave him a chance.
Alex Newhook is a guy that, I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does this year.
Nice addition.
couldn't really grasp his full potential in Colorado. Great organization, but it's not always easy as a young player to step in on a loaded roster to do that. So they're basically doing the same thing with him that they did with Kirby Doc last year, and seeing with a little bit more ice time and a little bit more freedom how he does. So that's going to be an important storyline this season. But other than that, like this team's going to finish last in this division. No shame in that. You're rebuilding.
Suzuki and Caulfield as your 1-2 punch is always fun. As long as Cole can stay fairly healthy, they're both going to be on very, very solid point paces regardless.
Yeah.
Their defense, obviously Gooley being a young headliner there. They got our buddy Savvy, who's on the decline. Pretty rough.
He's cooked.
I don't know, man. It's like
I think they have kind of what Ottawa did a couple years ago, where they have some nice younger pieces, maybe not quite as young as Ottawa's were when they had kind of that more veteran presence surrounding them. But I think having guys like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Kirby Doc, Uri Slavkovsky, having those guys around, like Sean Monahan, and I'm not a huge Brendan Gallagher fan, obviously, because of my fandom, but I think still like I think he'll be like a good mentor. Matheson I think is actually an underrated defenseman. So
Matheson is very good. Yes,
they went out. They got Tanner Pearson. That's a good veteran presence.
Yeah.
I like the Pearson trade.
That's a leader.
Yeah, I think it made sense to them, and he's just going to be a depth guy for them, so there's nothing to rush there. I also like Kovacevic on the back end there. I think he's an underrated kind of defensive defenseman, so that's nice for them. Obviously, I'm not an Arbor Jackeye fan, but
I like Jackeye. I like his play.
I'm not surprised. A lot of people outside Ottawa and Toronto do.
It's fun. Like I don't know. Like say what you will about how certain players gain a reputation for how hard they play and how like dirty that can be. But like Jackeye being as big as he is, like use it, kid. Come on.
And just to clarify for Habs fans, like I think Jackeye's story is great, going from like working Costco, undrafted or what have you, and being then brought to the NHL. Great. His story's great. He's obviously can punch people to a pulp. That's great.
Maybe not Edgar Martinez of the
maybe
NHL.
Not as much in these days of the NHL, but my biggest problem is that he's quite a defensive liability.
He is.
So well, let's just list some of these guys that are probably going to make this roster. Jackeye, Chris Weidman.
Yeah, Chris Weidman, veteran guy.
If Reinbacher gets a chance, maybe he'll be okay. If he makes
that's
the team.
Another guy I like him, but they shouldn't rush him.
Norlinder, Kovacevic, you mentioned, Gus Lidstrom, Jordan Harris. I really like Jordan Harris.
Yeah, he's interesting to me.
Justin Barron too. I like him. Good kid. I'm just scrolling through this and I think we're ignoring the elephant in the room on defense. And that's Logan Mailloux.
Well, he's not going to play this year.
Yeah. Is he not like? Do you think
he's not ready?
Laval?
No, not a chance.
Just in terms of him.
Speaking of liability defensively,
right? I'm just thinking like in terms of him, like where he's at in his hockey development. Like leave his whole
leave all that alone for a second. No, he's just not close enough.
Yeah, I don't think he's close enough. Like I've seen some Habs fans who are excited about his development, but I think he's like an AHL guy for now.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to take him some time to develop that defensive part of his game. The offensive part is there; it'll translate.
And I think the Habs are also going to want to make sure he's doing a lot of community initiative stuff to show that he's kind of redeemed himself. There's been a lot of controversy back and forth, just division within the fan base about what qualifies as him deserving a second chance. Like what threshold does he have to meet before he can do so?
Is he actually doing things? Like we don't know.
It seems like he is, but the question is it enough? Do you believe it?
Right.
And buy into it? I mean, how long does it take before you want to get someone a second chance? That's really up to the person.
Yeah, and player aside, like I know the Habs organization is doing a lot of initiatives and mandatory training for their young players coming in now, which is like respect, consent, stuff like that. Like they're doing an actual like course, if you will,
Yeah,
on
like
that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important step that all NHL teams should take going forward. I
I
really like that the
100%
Habs.
agree.
Yeah, I really like that the Habs stepped up to do that. So I'd like to see more of that in the NHL going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, like simple things like don't take someone's phone and look through their photos.
um
I watched that episode. That was quite
did you like
interesting.
that? Yeah,
That was an interesting chat.
we had a fun time with that.
Speaking of, aren't you wearing a jersey of one of like you know,
One of-
victims of
one of his
Babcock?
victims. Yes, I love me
Real
some Mitchie
quick,
Marner. Love me
I
some
want
Mitchie
you to
Marner.
make a list of who is working harder between me and Matt. And then I want you to read it out loud to us.
I'll go and I'll share it in the THPN group chat, and
It's just a ranking of all the shows.
it's just well, that's a big list.
Last point on Montreal, a guy that I find interesting this season will be Christian Dvorak. They said he's going to be back sometime in late November, it seems. So,
Oh yeah,
he
he's
did not
gonna
have
be
that
out.
great of a season last year. We'll see if he can rebound and either become a long-term piece for the Habs or at least maybe trade value at the deadline.
We talked about a lot of the young guys. I do like Mike Pizzetta, good kid. And Yolonen as well. Like they've got really nice like young wingers. And then there's also our old buddy Josh Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I was actually going to say Harvey Pinard is an interesting guy.
Dude,
He had a good.
Yeah,
Wow.
he had a good rookie season. I like his speed. He's a good penalty killer from what I watched of him. I'm really curious to see how the Habs deploy him going forward.
And then they got Leish in a deal with the Kings recently, right? Wasn't that in the Dano deal, getting Leish Anderson? Or was that something else?
Oh, did they? I don't know.
Yeah,
He's listed here.
I think they just got him as a free agent because
free agent. Okay, that's fair.
I've kind of given up on Lance Anderson.
I don't know.
His dad's a scout for the Kings, and that's why they traded for him. And he didn't do anything. Like I feel like you're kind of cooked at that point.
That's weird. That's really weird. And then obviously it's Monty and it's Jake Allen in net.
Montem Beast. My girlfriend wanted a shout out to Montem Beast, so I got that in there for her.
I like that. And I like Sam Montembeau. He's a good, he was really good, like had a nice run in Florida, and then he gets more of a chance in Montreal. And Jake Allen, very solid backup at this point. When is it going to be the Caden Primo show?
I like he's still like young for a goalie, but was he a backup?
I think he would likely be a backup going forward. He requires waivers this season, so I think that they're likely gonna ship out Jake Allen, which makes the most sense. If they can find someone who wants him, maybe Tampa Bay if Montreal retains salary, but guess we'll see.
He's your age, Jay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
hey, everybody in the NHL, like anybody who's older than us, anyone who's our age, super young. Us or younger.
Right, exactly.
We're still prospects.
It's still strange to me how like Austin Matthews is like 2 months older than me, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, my draft.
We're just a year away from being your way.
My draft class was the Nathan McKinnon draft class.
So. What?
He is not a young gun anymore.
No.
That just means you're close to winning a cup.
When do I get my time? When's my time?
It's coming. It's coming
soon. Going to Detroit. Yeah. What's the new Yzer plan this time, Stevie? Because like obviously the one that you had. What's going on here?
I gotta say, like, out of all the teams in the NHL, I don't know if there's a harder one to talk about than Detroit because it's such a mixed bag of like, ooh, I like this and meh, and then I don't like this at all.
So right, exactly. So
it's a very mixed bag. Like, ooh, Lucas Raymond, I like that, Ooh, Alex DeBrincat. I like that. Sorry.
Hey, Moritz Sider. I like that.
I like that a lot. Oh, Ben Sherratt. What the hell?
I am so no. You like Jay and I are on this wavelength.
James Reimer.
We are so ready for a Sherratt Petrie pairing to just get eaten alive.
There's nothing I love more than shitty defensive pairs. Just watching a defensive pair that goes out and gets caved in night out. It's so entertaining. It's better than watching a great like top pair.
So I can speak to Alex DeBrincat a little because I think that line with him, Larkin, and Raymond would be interesting. Raymond in the SHL, I really liked him pre-2020 draft. He was always like a defensively responsible, like two-way forward. Dylan Larkin's had his ups and downs. Like, sure, he's a 1C on a good team, but not a 1C on a cup contender, in my opinion.
Right, he's a good 2C on a cup contender.
Yeah. So for me, Alex DeBrincat is a lot of people chalked up his meh season this year in Ottawa to not having Kane. I don't think that's totally fair. Like Alex DeBrincat, he laid a lot of hits for a smallish player, right?
He laid a lot of hits. He didn't take as many shots as we thought he would either, and he didn't there was a lot of stuff. Like, you're getting more active in the SDPN Discord, which is fun, and it's fun to see you chop it up with like that. Ottawa channel is just everything anymore.
It truly is.
And I love going in there and chatting it up with those guys, and it's just Cat was such a weird enigma. He was just not himself, even though he was. They weren't allowing him to be Alex DeBrincat.
I don't know if that's fair. I think Alex DeBrincat got first line power play minutes. When it came to the actual first line itself, Kachuk, Stützle, Giroux was absolutely god tier last season. There was no way you're breaking those guys up. So he was put on the second line with Josh Norris and Drake Batherson, who are both very well. I know Norris has missed a lot of time, but the season before he had 35 goals before his injured season. So
Josh got hurt,
yeah, he got hurt early. So like you put DeBrincat with two guys who can both score and are decent at playmaking. You expect him to be able to score well, and Norris went down, and then Pinto came up into that second line spot, and I think that line just never generated the right chemistry. And Drake Batherson was still recovering from his Achilles injury, so like. I believe, or high ankle sprain. I can't remember now. Time is a blur, but
time's a flat circle, right, Jay?
Neither one of those are fun things to overcome either.
Yeah, no, like I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll see how he does with Larks. We'll see how he does with Larks and Lucas.
He'll have all the opportunity now, so there's like no excuses. And like in Detroit, he talked about, sometimes he may have been. I don't want to say lazy. I can't remember how he worded it. He didn't necessarily say. I don't know if he if the context, like I don't want to take it out of context, but whether he was being lazy, whether he was taking a shift off, what have you, his two-way game dropped. In Chicago, he was more defensively responsible. In Ottawa, he lost that. It was more like having Mike Hoffman when the Sens had Mike Hoffman. Great power play guy, great 5-on-5 scorer, but he had no defensive game. Yeah, but I'm talking about like prime Mike Hoffman. That's kind of what DeBrincat was when he was on the Sens. So I think going back to Detroit, he'll be more motivated. He's close to home. He's got his young family there.
He is home. Like, he's a Detroit kid.
Well, yeah, sorry. True. I didn't know if he was born exactly in Detroit, but I knew he's from Michigan. So anyway, like all the setting is there for him. He's getting paid probably less than he wanted to get paid, but he's home.
Hometown discount. That's
so I think he'll do fine, but
unless you're Mitch Marner.
But like moving to other players, like I liked Christian Fischer, Daniel Sprong. Those are both good pickups.
You love Sprong, great pickup.
Yep. I think the Sider Wallman pairing will be fine, but after that, I get a little bit worried.
Jake Wallman's fun.
So worried. I'm like, oh, that's a nice top pair, and then it's Ben Sherratt, Jeff
Petrie, and then Justin Hall after that.
I like Gostisbehere, but
Gostisbehere and Petrie
as a third pair defenseman who you can employ on the power play, but like
know what you could call that?
Ugh.
You could call it Ghost in the Hall.
It's actually pretty good.
Hey, you like that?
Yeah, well, surprised. I do like Simon Edvinsson, but I still think he's a little bit away from actually becoming a full-time NHL player. Billy Hughes,
Although compared to Sherratt, I don't know.
yeah, Houston is going to have he has to have a bounce back season. James Reimer and Alex Lyon, like the
Those two behind him is
Alex
just
Lyon
like,
and Michael
ugh.
Hutchinson. They are just collecting these below average third goalies. Like
Yeah, that's kind of tough.
The forward group, like
because Costa's not ready at all. I don't think Costa's ready.
No, he's not ready.
I think in terms of their forwards, though, I do like a lot of their
move, but what does that make of Andrew Kopp? I thought Andrew Kopp had a rough season last year. Now you bring in Comfer. If Comfer succeeds, well, that's great, but that means you're getting even less of Andrew Kopp, and you're already paying him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Does a guy like does Robbie Fabry end up being an odd man out kind of situation?
I think he already is, to be honest with you.
When does Marco Casper come into play? Like, you got David Perron.
David Perron, I like a lot.
David Perron, I like. Elmer is going to be a big presence. He's
big. So
Elmer Soderblom, I do love that kid. And then, when is this the year that we're finally going to see like regular Joe Veleno?
I'm
not very high on him, so it is a good question, but I'm not super high on him. I think the problem with Detroit is they've had part of the issue with the Yzer plan so far is they've had a lot of bad luck with drafting in terms of they just haven't gotten any luck with the lottery, and some of the guys that they've depended on kind of booming, that they've taken maybe mid-round, late first round, that they knew were project players, haven't developed the way that they want them to. Whether that's a Michael Rasmussen or Milano, like there's pieces like I'm looking at from like 2016 until like 2018, 2019 that they're picking high that we're hoping will be a part of the, regular lineup these days, and they're just not.
Right.
And I think even Lucas Raymond, like I think he has a bright future, but he had a very obvious sophomore slump. So
yeah. And I kind of just chalked it up to a sophomore slump, but that is his storyline coming into this season. He has to bounce back.
Right. I think we've gone way too long on 8 and 7, even though there's interesting storylines with Detroit, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, they're 7, easy.
Yeah.
6 and 5. How do we want to do this? Because I had Boston Buffalo as my 6-5.
So we got that. Why don't we talk about the two teams that haven't been in the playoffs recently, but we're thinking are going to start to make that jump? Let's talk about Ottawa and Buffalo, even though we didn't put them in this. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, let's just go. Yeah, we don't need order. The Sens are all chaos. We got to do that like chaos.
We can talk Buffalo first.
Yeah, Buffalo. I love their roster. I love what they've done with this rebuild.
I mean, you were there for 4 years. I would hope.
I love Buffalo. Alex Tuck, JJ Paterka, Opozo. I like him. He's a good captain. Victor Olsen. I think he's in a contract year. Jack Quinn, Isaac Rosen. We'll see if he makes the jump. Casey Middlestat was phenomenal last year. He's
Paige Thompson. What a guy.
Jordan Greenway looked good after they acquired him at the trade deadline. Dylan Cousins, even Tyson Jost had some moments last season. We'll see if Peyton Krebs makes a step up. Then you go to the defense, and it's Rasmus Dahlin and Matthias Samuelsson and Owen Power. They brought in Eric Johnson, who kind of gets caved in these days, but at least he's a good veteran presence.
EJ will usher in a little bit more discipline for those young guys. Yeah.
So they're still like good up top on defense. They still need a little bit more depth. I'm not high on Ryoki Haru, but they did get Connor Clifton. I like him. Jacob Bryson. I like him.
You think he goes in right away?
I do. I think that that's your top 6 right there.
And I want to ask you the same thing about Matt Savoy. Do you think he makes it?
No.
Okay.
No, and they're not going to rush him because they don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
With having Casey Middlestat still be there, you're set down the middle. for next year with
if
Thompson.
Middlestead even plays center, like they've got Thompson, Cousins, Krebs, and Tyler Jost, like, or Tyson Jost. Sorry.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
they're
like
loaded. So they can put Middlestead on the wing if they like. That's the thing I like about Buffalo. There's a lot of versatility. It's a really young team. I like the coach, but it's going to come down to Devin Levi in net. I'm totally out on UPL.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird coming from you, because like we haven't. Maybe it's just because we haven't talked about UPL in a while.
Yeah. I've gotten a chance to see him several times in person, whether that be in Rochester or in Buffalo. He was drafted in 2017. It's 2023, and it's not like Buffalo's been loaded at the goaltending position for the last several years.
Craig Anderson will tell you that.
Hey, I love Craig Anderson. Don't even start.
Love Craig Anderson.
No, I love Craig, but like that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. No, this isn't against Carter Hutton, okay?
It is, yeah, it's more against Carter Hutton, I guess. And then I mean,
Dustin Tokarski, okay?
Yes.
Like that's
funnily enough, I'm gonna bring this up. He's actually still listed on
he is.
the depth chart.
I mean, he's on waivers, so I guess he's still like
technically there. I mean,
and can assign him to the NHL team even after putting him on waivers. It won't happen, but they could.
And then Eric Comrie as the backup.
He's got 1 year left on his deal. Maybe you get a solid season from him as a backup, trying to get that next contract. But I think they're a year away. But I love the build. I think they're doing it right.
I think they'll at least be very exciting to watch again.
Oh yeah,
they're going to be on fire to watch.
As long as it's not against Columbus in prime time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I really like JJ Peterka. He's a guy who I wanted Ottawa to draft since they drafted Stützle. I was like, man, getting his line mate in Peterka would be great. So I'm excited to see how he develops in Buffalo this year. Again, hopefully, like you guys said, not against my favorite team, but I'm also really curious about Devin Levi. Like Buffalo fans seem very confident and online, and that's. Hey, I mean, everyone's got to be confident about their favorite team.
He came in and he brought this presence that was so like, it was a calm presence in the net that Buffalo hasn't really had in a good while.
And that's fair, but it's just the fact that he's started 7 NHL games. Like, it's a lot of pressure to put on a guy who's only 21 years old, you know. And Eric Comrie, like, he's like the veteran goalie on that team, and he hasn't been an exact master at the position, if you will. And
well, because like, he was also the passenger to Connor Hellebuck for ages.
For sure,
but he's being his backup.
Well, hey, maybe they can go and get Connor, and they can just have Helly and.
I mean, that has been a conversation, and it's possible they have enough cap space to go out and acquire him if they wanted to. I don't know what they'd have to give up. I'm sure, you know, they have a lot of prospects and stuff.
It would probably be Devin Levi, if we're being honest.
I feel like they wouldn't part with Levi. I feel like they would part with like another, probably Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I feel like that would make more sense. And then like a draft pick and maybe another forward or defense prospect, because they have a lot of guys in their system. So it'll just depend. But I don't know. For me, that's the biggest question mark. I like most of their defensive core outside of Eric Johnson, who that was a weird signing at over $3 million, but whatever. And I don't know, like looking at their forward core, I think it's well balanced. I think they have the pieces there to make a playoff push. But I still, in my obviously totally unbiased opinion, think that Ottawa edges out against them.
Well, then let's go there. Brady and his band of merry men.
Yes. Where should I start? Yeah, for them, I think it all comes from the first line to start things off. Like that line last year of, like I said earlier, having Brady Tkachuk on that left wing, Tim Stützle taking over as 1C, and Claude Giroux on that right wing. Like they were dominant. They were so good. You still have Claude Giroux locked up for this season and another season. If he plays even remotely close to how he played last season, and he had a nasty goal against the Winnipeg Jets in preseason, Yeah, I mean, they were icing like an AHL roster, but if you haven't checked it out, you should, because that was a really nasty set of hands on that guy. But he still got it. So them putting that together as your first line looks solid. Having your second line be a combination of Tarasenko, Batherson, and Norris again.
It's funny because like bringing in Tarasenko, I remember when they did that, but we're also at that point in the preseason where like people are able to watch games, and then you look and you notice somebody, and we're in the, oh wait, he's there now part of the season.
And that was a really weird signing because like Tarasenko, apparently earlier in the offseason, the Sens had offered him a 4-year, $5.5 million deal, and he had turned it down. He wanted more money. And so that's when his agent got fired and his new agent came in, and there were talks about him possibly going to Carolina. And then it was like, no, maybe Ottawa. And Sens fans were like, oh, like Sen is in his name. He's got to come to Ottawa. And I mean, it happened. And it's kind of baffling as Sens fans. We're not used to getting, regardless of where they're at in your career, we're not used to getting like star name free agents. And getting Claude Giroux last season, this season getting Korpisalo and Tarasenko were huge steps for the team.
How do you think we felt when we got Johnny? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's not just like a player that comes in and can be productive. It's also like, what does that mean for the organization? And for the Sens, it's like Ottawa has started to become a destination team.
Well, that's the nice thing. That's the nice thing with Ottawa now, because we always talk about the off-ice stuff with them as well, right? Because what we talked about when Melnick passed away, we talked about all of his transgressions and how he saved the team way back when, and all the things that he did and didn't do. And now that it's Andlauer's team, I know Pi was talking about so much of bringing in your guys' new president.
Yeah, Steve Staios. Yeah, so Steve Staios joined the team. He seems to be really well respected. He's known Michael Andlauer for like 20 plus years. So it was just a matter of when, not if, when he was joining the club as president of hockey ops. And then you also see Sean Tierney was brought in as like the head of the analytics department. He also worked on the Hamilton Bulldogs with Andlauer and Staios. So again, Andlauer just bringing in some of his guys. Staios did his presser on Friday, and he was all about like collaboration and building best in class franchise and helping Dorion assess like where do we need the most assets to make this team best in class. Whether it's, he didn't necessarily say these things, but Ottawa will need help in pro scouting. They'll need more amateur scouts. They've always been a small front office, so I think building it out from the top is really going to help this team become best in class, as they put it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the forward depth, Shane Pinto's like the elephant in the room for the Sens. It's like,
yeah, that's beans. You got a whole can of beans there that needs, yeah,
a lot of pinto beans. The biggest discussion there is like the Sens only have a marginal amount of cap, and there's been discussions of who gets traded out so that Pinto can get signed. Is that Mathieu Joseph? It's possible. People have talked about Eric Brandstrom.
I heard Greg rumors recently too, and that's a weird one. Ridley Gregg.
Yeah, that doesn't make too much sense to me because he's like on his entry level, and if anything, he'll probably fill in that third line center position until Pinto is signed, and then he'll likely get moved to the wing. But he played center in junior, and he played some center at the NHL level last season and looked not out of place. So for me, he's like a short-term fix until you can find a way to get Pinto signed.
Maybe the Smejkal kid that's come out of nowhere. Like,
so his name is pronounced Smejkal.
Smejkal, okay.
Just because it's a weird name to pronounce. And I actually got to interview his coach when he was signed by the Sens.
Really?
Yeah. Ooh. And his coach described him as the Czech Hulk, which I absolutely loved. It was amazing. And watching him play in preseason, he does a great job of forechecking. He seems very aware in the offensive zone. Like, not to say he's bad defensively, but you can tell that he's a little bit more in tuned and aware in the offensive zone. His foot speed isn't amazing, but it's fine. Like, it's NHL average, I guess.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's able to get to the net, and I think he could really be kind of like a net front presence on the second power play unit. And I don't know, I like what I've seen from him in the preseason. I would be really surprised if he doesn't make this squad out of camp. Like, it would, unless he has a brutal next, like, I don't know how many games he'll play of the remaining 4, but unless he absolutely is garbage, then there's no way that he doesn't make this
I
team.
feel like we're playing too many preseason games.
There are a lot. I think there's like 8 or something for the Sens. I can't remember. Kubalik coming in on the DeBrincat trade, he'll really help their depth, especially scoring. He's looked good in the preseason as well.
That's
So
a
I'm
middle
looking
six guy who can get you 20 goals and 35 points.
exactly, and
I
that's
love Kubalik. He's a nice player.
yeah. And the Sens need depth scoring. That was a big weakness of theirs. That's why the Zach McEwen signing doesn't really make sense. But anyway, Josh Bailey on the PTO, he's been kind of invisible. Like, I don't know. It just I don't want to say he's checked out, but he doesn't have the same motor as he once did. Like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
Hard to have that kind of motor for 15 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Especially when your
but
body
like
starts to break down.
well,
And
Claude Giroux has that, and he's older. Like Claude Giroux, he doesn't stop. He constantly
he's
is
a better
skating.
player.
Oh,
so
he
I think
is.
that helps.
Yeah, like at their
when
peaks.
your
for sure.
skills start to decline, like because his Bailey's skills decline so much sharper than Giroux's, and he was never Giroux's level to begin
Well,
with.
that's the thing too. When you have different play styles like that, Josh Bailey was always more of a more like physical guy. You got to remember he was playing with guys like Cal Clutterbuck and Okposo and big guys.
Islanders hockey because he's just been an Islander his entire career, and I don't just like he's only played for the Islanders prior to this stint now at the Sens. I mean, he is literally just Islanders hockey. So
and Ottawa's been trying to go for like a fast pace, forecheck hard kind of team. And Josh Bailey hasn't fit in. Although, so at Sens Fan Fest today, he was one of the guys doing signings, and I was like, it's just surprising because he's on a PTO. Like, he played with DJ Smith on DJ Smith's team in junior, and obviously our associate coach is Jack Capuano, so he has experience with him on the island. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a league min contract, but I don't think he should. But just to run through a little bit quicker, like Igor Sokolov's another guy, depth player who the Sens drafted.
He was the only other RFA that you guys had issues with.
Yeah, and they got him locked in for a year. But he's looked, oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong guy. Yeah, he's locked in for a year. Mark Haslick's another young guy who should be the fourth.
I like Haslick.
Yeah.
On defense, this is the first time in a
This is a nice top 4.
This is the first time in a long time that the Sens have been able to look at their top 4 and be like, Chychrun, Shabbat, Sanderson, Zub, that is a solid top 4.
Yes.
And Brandstrom is no slouch as a 5. It's just
it's weird though, because okay, now that we've had plenty of time to digest it, I can understand the Sandy extension, but that's a lot of money for a guy just coming off his rookie year.
Honestly, though, you watch him play, people will point to the 32 points. It isn't about that. You watch him play, he is already the best skater on the, aside from Tim Stützle, he's the best skater on the team. He is the best defensively on the team. His offensive awareness is really good. He can quarterback a power play. He probably won't be on the first power play, but he'll be able to quarterback a damn good second unit. He is just everything. He is like prime Ryan McDonough, but I think with even more defensive capability. Like, he is going to be really good, and I think that contract will age like a fine wine. People can say I'm on copium, hopium, whatever the hell they want. He is going to be a very good player in this league. Just ask like any hockey analyst who is worth their weight. Dave Poulin, Jamie McLennan, Mike Johnson, like any of these guys who watch Jake Sanderson and on a nightly basis, for the most part, they will tell you like that is a future NHL player and not just a fringe guy. Like, he is going to be a cornerstone for the Sens on defense. So like it's a lot of money, but it will buy up his best years. Like, he's what, 21, 22 now? 21. So he's on his entry level still this season. So that takes him to 30. 30 years old when his contract is up.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. Like, is he going to be overpaid for year one? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably gonna be an $8 million player by year one. How about year 2 or year 3? He probably will be.
And that's exactly
by years 4, 5, 6, and 7. You're gonna be like, that guy's making 8. That's it.
Right.
This is just the formula I think a lot of GMs are kind of figuring out now. Like, if you have a player that you believe in, and clearly they believe in him, they drafted him top 5. They've employed him, as a young player. They've given him a lot of minutes. They haven't really sheltered the kid.
Nope.
They've just said, go out and do your thing. I don't see any issue with it. Sure, like, not every contract is going to be, oh, this guy is clearly this amount of money player now, and that's going to be for the entire 8 years. No, these players want to make more money than what they're worth when they sign the contract, and the teams want them to develop into better than what they're paying them by at least the halfway point of it.
Yeah.
Like I said that when the Sabres signed Tage Thompson to that deal, a lot of people were skeptical. Now, I didn't think he was going to go out and have the dynamite season that he had, but I thought he was worth the money. And that's a contract now that the Sabres have that's unbelievable.
It's almost it's complete steal. And Cousins
is going to be the same deal as well. So
yeah,
I love the deal for Jake Sanderson. I think he's going to be really good. I think in 3 or 4 years' time, you're going to be looking at that guy saying he's a $9.5, $10 million defenseman. That's the other thing. I say that now. Also, the cap will go up.
Yeah.
That's another factor in this. So $8 million 4 years from now also won't have that same sort of value that it does today.
Well, because we're going up, next summer is a 4 million jump, and then we're going to get a bigger jump after that. So,
something like that.
Yeah.
But also then you look at like the value of Tim Stützle's contract. He is starting that 8-year contract this season. He just put up 90 points on the last year of his entry level, and he's turning 22 in January. So he's still 21. That contract again takes him to like 29 years old. So here's a guy who if he had waited a season, he doesn't get 8.35. He gets like 10.5 or something, right?
Right.
The best example of this is in our division. Look at what New Jersey did. They gave Nico Hischier $7.25 million.
Right.
With way more than that. They gave Jack Hughes an 8x8 very shortly into his career. He's worth way more than that.
Exactly.
And then the Brat deal, like after that, it's like,
yeah, like I think that's just the reality now. If you have a player you believe is a franchise cornerstone, pay them immediately and give them the full 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I could talk about the Sens all night, but I'll get to their goaltending.
Well, let's just round out because like that, the top 4 is nice. The bottom pairing and the depth, I do enjoy a lot of your guys' depth as well. With Branny, with JBD, Hamonic is fine for an older defenseman. He's fine. Leadership.
Thompson, we'll see what happens if he gets claimed or not.
Clevin too, like we'll see if he steps in there and makes a big impact. Lassie, I love me some Lassie Thompson.
Yeah, he's on waivers right now, and I hope he doesn't get claimed because out of all the fringe defensemen the Sens have, Clevin, JBD, Hamonic, and Thompson has looked the best, bar none. Yeah. JBD's had a disappointing camp, in my opinion. I thought he would be competing with Hamonic, and Hamonic hasn't looked great, but JBD also hasn't looked great, so that doesn't help his case. Lassie Thompson, like I said, looks the best of the bunch. They also have a guy, Max Gannett. I don't know if you heard of him. They drafted him in the 7th round a number of years ago. He's actually really molded into a guy who's started to look good. I think he still needs like another year in the AHL, but again, looking good. And they also signed a European player, Matt Paolo, and he's a defenseman who's also kind of surprised me. He's looked better aside from Lassie Thompson. I think he's looked the best of the group. So I'd like to see more of him. But yeah, to me, like the Hamonic contract, I think they brought him back because he was a player that a lot of the guys in the locker room loved. On the penalty kill, while he's not good defensively at even strength, he actually is positive on the penalty kill because he blocks a lot of shots. That dude is, I don't know how he...
Like a defenseman should.
Yeah, but I don't know how. Like, actually, surprisingly, the only player that had more blocked shots than Hamonic last season was Jake Sanderson. He's another guy who he puts his body on the line. So
guys are made out of adamantium.
Yeah, players love that kind of thing. So I think that's why they brought Hamnick back. I don't know if 2 years, 1.1 with a no move clause is like the
Well,
best way
okay.
to spend
Well,
cap dollars,
that
especially when you
goes
need Pinto.
to, that goes to the off the ice aspect of it, right?
Oh,
He's
for
home,
sure.
like,
I just don't know. Like, to me, it's like, okay, you can maybe flip the guy a 1 year deal and see how it goes, but it's kind of like the Michael Del Zotto situation where they gave him a 2 year deal and they bought him out after the first year because they're like, ah, it's just not working out. And then he became
DJMDZ.
and then he became a real estate agent in Florida
and a
while
DJ.
playing.
Remember, he's a DJ.
Wait, Del Zotto is too, because Mika Zibanejad was a DJ when he was on
Well,
this.
I remember,
Even
like,
still,
I don't know if he actually was, but I remember when we had him for the solid year
Michael
that we
Del
had him.
Zotto is
oh yeah, he played on Columbus. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
I
So,
remember our
yeah.
buddies made a big DJ MDZ shirt and everything. It was great.
Oh boy.
Maybe not the best use of cap space, but I do think that is a move right there. I think that will resonate with players when dealing with
Yes.
management in Ottawa,
Mhm.
that that this is a place that's taking care of their players.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a move that, from a business perspective, might not have been ideal, especially from a fan perspective. But inside that locker room, I'm sure they're very happy that Hamonic is there.
And I think that, like, if we want to just touch on the goalies for a minute, that talks to what I think they did with Forsey. I love Anton Forsberg. Ever since he was Bobrovsky's backup with us, I've always wanted this guy to get his chance. And I remember back when he was on the waiver wire for like ever, bouncing between like 5 different teams.
He'd get claimed by a team, and then he'd have to go through waivers again because I want to stash.
He started. Yeah, I know. He started his stint in Ottawa wearing blue goalie pads. It was very funny.
Yeah,
but no, Forsberg deserved the contract he got. It's really sad that he had to get or that he got a double knee injury last season. That's just brutal.
Yeah, that's so.
But I got to see him play in their first preseason game this season against the Leafs, and he looked really solid. So I was happy to see that. I think he'll be a really good 1B, like 1A, 1B tandem with Korpisalo.
Please take care of our dude.
I mean, the nice thing is, so I think we talked about this not on a podcast, but away from the podcast, that we had Aaron Portzline on our show in August, and he had a lot of good things to say about Korpisalo, both
as he should.
His maturity, just him as a person off the ice, how he looked after he got that hip surgery that was nagging him for quite some time, and he said he looks very much like a more technical goalie than he was in his early years in Columbus, and that he thinks like this is the time. He said he's not going to be the guy who like carries a team to this playoffs, but he's a guy that can win you games and can help a team that has good players around him get to the playoffs. So Aaron Portzline thought it was a great fit. I think it's a great fit. And I made a promise to the good people of Ottawa. I said, the last time I bought a goaltender's jersey was back in 2011 when I picked up a Craig Anderson home jersey, and he became the best goaltender in franchise history. And so I'm going to double down on that voodoo, and I'm going to go pick up a Jonas Korpisalo jersey. And I swear, man, that's going to make him play like the $4 million goalie that he is.
Yeah.
5.
If not better. No, it's 4.
Is it 4
a year for 5 years?
I thought it was 5 by 5. But I'm just happy. Honestly, I'm just happy he's got like
you're making me double check, but it is $4 million for the next 5 years.
one last question about Corpy. So you bring up Craig Anderson. If he's going to be the guy, does he have to go bald?
Do you remember big bald Alex Auld?
Yes, I do.
I'm not saying that you need to be bald to be a good goalie, because
for the Sens,
you look at Craig Anderson, you look at Alex Auld. I mean, there's one of those bald goalies that I would take all day long. One of them, not so much. So I mean, for Korpisalo, I think having some hair actually might serve him well. You never know.
Oh, he's got to keep that flow. He's got to keep that, like,
and the mustache.
Take the bucket off and just
definitely the mustache.
Flip it around.
The mustache actually served him well.
The mustache is a power move. It's power.
I mean, look at Stuart Skinner.
Look good, feel good, right? Play good,
Exactly.
in terms of like, I know that's those two, but I am interested in case one of them does go down, which I know they're both pretty injury prone guys.
Yeah.
Sogard and Mandalise. You know, those...
So Sogard, Mandalise, and Levi Marilainen, they're both all like budding goaltenders. I would say Mandalise is probably bottom of that list. Him and Marilainen have had like some good results, some poor results, so it's like they're kind of in sync. But I think he might actually be in the ECHL this year. That's
so you think it's more of the Sogard show?
Yeah, Sogard has definitely, I think, claimed that best of the bunch spot, but Marilainen and Mandalise have both looked quite good. I just think that best of the bunch right now is definitely Sogard, and he won a Rookie of the Month, NHL award, if you will, last season when he first got called up to Ottawa, and then after that things kind of took a bit of a dip. But I really liked what I saw. I think for a big goalie, for 6'7", he's definitely got the athleticism. My favorite Mad Sogard thing that he told the media was he was asked whether he was 6'7" or 6'8" when he first made his Sens debut.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he likes to think of himself as 6'7" because if he was 6'8", he'd be a freak. But I was like, man, you're already 6'7". You're taller than like most of the human population.
Because it's like how many gigantic goalies have we seen now just become something? Between Ben Bishop and
who was also a Sen.
Yeah.
That's where he made his name.
I wasn't trying to take a dig.
No, it's all good.
How tall is Vasi? Isn't he like 6'6" or 6'7"?
He's tall.
I think he's 6'4".
Is he only 6'4"? And I say only like that's not
like he's big, but he's not like gigantic.
How you doing? How's your Bears doing at this point?
Don't ask me about that, okay?
Don't ask you about
don't
the
even
Bears?
dare.
About Da Bears? No?
Don't
Don't
even tell
even
you
dare?
something. No, let me not tell you something. I'll go on a rant.
I mean, we know that like we just passed another week. We're going into another week of football, and I'm running off the heels of a really tense Monday night game, and it's just like
Super Bowl revenge, eh?
Oh yeah. Big time. Oh man, we're back with another big week of football, and DraftKings is keeping us all in on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers, all you got to do is bet $5 and you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. All you got to do is sign up, and you got to use our promo code. That's the big thing. Use our promo code. It's a big thing for us, especially this month. You just throw down the 5 on any of the week's matchups, and you'll walk away with a big payday right away. $200, nothing to sniff at, right?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? It's big in gambling.
Especially, yeah, exactly.
Especially the way I bet.
With the way, yeah. And again, new customers, all you gotta do is sign up with our promo code. That's THPN, and everybody can get in on some fun stuff this September. All customers take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this month of September.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff from our friends at DraftKings. So all you got to do, just enjoy some football, put a bet down. Football's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with the code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensed partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles in Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Give me issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Thanks, everybody. I guess, do we want to go to Tampa next? Like, do we want to talk about the Florida?
I thought we were talking about Boston or Florida.
Okay, yeah, we'll go there.
Yeah, we'll talk about the first round playoff series.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I totally I see the Sens really pushing, and that's why I see them third. I think they can put something together that not a lot of people are going to see coming.
On paper, for
like
sure.
The Sens. I
on
think
paper,
them and Buffalo are just a year away. They're a Boston and Florida falling off away. But when they're there, they're going to
stay there.
They're going to be annoying for every team to play against.
Well, they're already annoying. Look at them. It's Brady Tkachuk.
Very true.
To first, the trophy or Stanley Cup finalist?
Let's talk about.
I was going to say, let's talk Boston. I like Boston.
Boston. 1C Pavel Zacha. How we feeling, boys?
What is he, whacked in the head?
I mean, he wasn't awful last season. Like, he had 57 points in 82. Like, that's second line material stuff. I think
as your one C,
I know, but
you're following up Patrice Bergeron.
So the way I look at it is, you look at the Kraken. I know they had Matty Beniers, but you look at them, and they were a team that really thrived.
Jared McCann,
yeah, they really thrived on having like a very depth-heavy lineup. Mm-hmm. So I know earlier I said I see Boston, slipping out of that. What I say, 5, I think. So I know I had them low. Like, they've got David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand, so they have some really good talent there still, scoring wise.
That's a Rat King captain.
Yeah,
it is. But you take out I'm just looking at the guys here in scoring. So Bergeron was their third. Krejci was 5th. Taylor Hall was 10th. Foligno was 12th. Clifton, who is on Buffalo now, was 14th. Orlov was 16th. Bertuzzi 17th. Like, you lose all these guys, and it's like, what does that leave you with?
Yeah,
right.
And even a guy like Garrett Hathaway, losing him as a depth player. He was a depth player I really wanted Ottawa to pursue.
Garnet Hathaway is.
Oh, sorry. What did I say? Garrett.
Yeah.
Garnet. Sorry, it's a very interesting first name.
A very Steven Universe first name. I know.
Yeah. So for me, it's like Boston lost a lot of guys, and then they bring in JVR. Okay, he's past his prime, but he's okay.
Prime. That's a good guy. Go on your power play, get you 15 goals in front of the net.
He's not second line winger material at all.
They had Patrick Brown, who was on the Sens as a depth player last season. Like, he's not going to do much to move the needle. Milan Lucic, same thing. It's a good nostalgia move for them.
Luch going back is fun. Luch going back is fun.
Like, I think it's nice because the fan base will be like, okay, he's not good anymore, but it's the nostalgia of him coming back, right? Like, it'll give fans kind of a boost in morale if their team's not great. Obviously, McAvoy, Lindholm are both good. Shattenkirk doesn't really replace Orlov, though. And Brandon Carlo, I think he's good as well. And then
still like Charlie Coyle.
He's fine.
Hampus Lindholm. The defense is great. Goaltending's great.
Yes. Yep. The forwards are the biggest question because you have so much depth lost in 4 guys.
Here's the other thing that I'm looking at, because we're talking about Pavel Zacha as the 1C. He didn't even play center last year.
No, he played on the wing.
He was playing on the wing, and it was Krejci in the middle. So,
exactly.
I know Krejci lost a step. His point production looked good, but he lost a step. That's still a loss. Bergeron's loss. That
said, Zacha. Sorry to interrupt, but Zacha was still 5th on the team in faceoffs that were won and faceoffs taken. Not to say that means that he'll be fine as a center. Like, his faceoff percentage.
I'm looking at I'm looking at the roster right now and just looking at the center positions as they list them.
Yeah.
Johnny Beecher, Jesper Boqvist, Patrick Brown, Charlie Coyle, John Farinacci, Trent Frederick is listed as a center. That's fun. I like Freddie. Morgan Geeky, Curtis Hall, Brett Harrison, a lot of AHL guys. Jacob Lauko, I wonder if he could get a shot. They brought in Jason Megna. They got McLaughlin.
Did they get McLovin though?
This,
All right,
this
that's a bad joke. Scratch
that was a bad one. That was a rough one. Like, we know bad jokes when we hear
Yeah.
them.
That's what I'm here for.
Good. You
Good.
fit right in.
You fit right. Yep. This is the problem with Boston. They have been so competitive for so long that you look at the guys that they have in their farm system and it's like, who can really do this?
Yeah. Their farm system sucks. There's no doubt about that. Life's going to be a lot harder on
Oscar Steen's an interesting one.
Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle. Trent Frederick, I like him. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm just like, good Lord, like that. This is why I'm 1,000% confident. Like they're going to make a move at some point, whether if it's Scheifele or someone else.
Can we keep good players out of the Atlantic, please? Can you not take mercy on us? Like, is it not already tough enough? Come on.
Hey, I'm not saying
we already got Matthew Tkachuk coming into this division.
I think they're good.
Well, we're in the Metropolitan. I think we've got a bit of a challenge ourselves.
Yeah, at least you guys have a nice kind of young foundation. I mean, I know this isn't the Metro Division show, so I won't get into it, but there's at least some founding. God, I can't do it. Building blocks, foundational pieces there that can help going forward. But
yeah,
the other interesting about Boston is they have no picks in the first, second, or third round this year.
Oh, that's a Sweeney. That's a Sweeney thing.
Now, the first round pick is actually belonging to Detroit/Ottawa, depending on conditions. Detroit has a deal, like part of the DeBrincat trade was Ottawa will get the lower of Detroit or Boston's first round picks. Okay. So if Boston has a good season, then Ottawa will get their first round pick. If Detroit, I guess, has a good season, then Ottawa will get Boston's pick. It just depends. But anyway.
Wow. Oh.
Or sorry, if Detroit has a good season, they'll get Detroit's pick. That's what I meant. But anyway.
Conditions are weird. Pick conditions are always weird.
If you want interesting pick conditions, go read the Erik Karlsson to San Jose trade. That one was full of fun ones.
Oh boy. But yes, we like their defense still with Carlo, Forbor, Grizz, Lindy, Charlie as the headliner. They got good depth guys.
Coaching is important. I like
that. Jim Montgomery.
I think they're gonna have to win a lot of low scoring games.
Yes. Well,
and I think that they're built for that.
That's what Linus did. He consistently only let in 1, maybe 2 goals, right?
Yeah, and I think Swayman's got that in him too.
Sway's got that in him
for a while.
Sway's got that swagger.
Yeah, he does. And then I do like their depth a little bit. Like, I know it's unproven, but you got Mikey DiPietro from A Deal with Vancouver. And I love Mikey. I hope he's a lot better than Rick ever was when he gets his chance. And then you can't go wrong with a name like Brandon Bussey.
Yeah.
It's a fun name.
It's always hard to get it.
No comment. But, matched up against those Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, they're going to be without Ekblad and Montour on their defensive core going into the season.
That's a big loss, but still.
Big losses, but they brought in brand name player on the back end, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. God tier Oliver Ekman-Larsson. So
the thing that annoys the shit about me, like I like seeing the Panthers have success. Like that's not bothers me. We like Bill Zito, so good for them. But they had no business going to the finals.
No, they did not.
They had no business being as good as they were, and that's part of like the reason why like they're surely at some point they have to fall off, right?
I don't know, man, because like
sustainable. It's not.
I think they have good pieces. Sorry, go ahead.
Matthew Tkachuk following up a 109-point season. And while he's got like every injury in the book.
Yeah.
Right? He's got like he had a ruptured spleen, he had like a broken something with his leg, he just went through like 5 different things at once that started in the Boston series.
Yeah. Or
was that Ekblad? It was one of those 2 guys that went through just like every injury in the book. But they're riding off the back of Matthew Tkachuk. and we know what he can do. We know what Carter Verhaeghe can do. This guy is unbelievable anymore.
Verhaeghe's unbelievable. Montour was great. They got the two Sams and Reinhart and Bennett. Gus Forsling, I like him.
Captain Barkov is one of the best captains in the league.
They're going to be without Ekblad, but I like Lundell. But after that, it's like, what is their defense? Matt Kierstead, Josh Mahora, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like, at what point does the shoe drop on that defense? Yeah. They were employing like Mark Stahl on like the second pair sometimes last season, and he was getting caved in, and they just weren't allowing goals for some reason.
They got Nico Mikkola and Mike Riley.
Yeah, the biggest question mark for them will be how long does that defensive setup or lines, pairings, whatever, last until Ekblad and Montour can come back? Because like Daily Faceoff has it as Forsling, Ekman-Larsson as first pairing, second pairing as Mykola Kulikov, and third as Mahura and Riley. And to me, that just does not scream success.
That's not great. No,
it's so bad.
But like, and like for forwards,
but they were also so heavy on the firepower. You got to remember that the Reinhart, Kachuk, Cousins line that just laid into everybody and fired at will.
Yeah, so they still have like a decent forward core. Like I really like Evan Rodriguez. To me, he should not have lasted as long as he did in free agency. That guy should have been a day one signing, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
That is like a key guy who can play third line minutes for you, is a defensive presence, can play in all situations, and honestly, like he's underrated.
He brings some offense to the table.
Yeah. For me, like that was a no-brainer, and I'm really annoyed that Florida was smart enough to sign him. They even got him to a 4-year contract at $3 million. I think that's quite good. But to me, it's like, can Sam Bennett stay healthy? Aside from that, where does Kachuk, where do his numbers lie? Because he was heads and tails above Barkov for points. Like Barkov was at 78 points last season
to 109.
Yeah, and now Barkov did miss some time, so like 14 games. Obviously, he could have made up some points there, some ground. But like, I don't know who Denisenko is, but he's right now in their lineup.
He was a first-round pick from them back in like 2018, I want to say, or 2019.
Okay, I mean, call me ignorant. I haven't heard much about him. Last year, he played 18 games, and
Samoskevich has some hype going on with him.
Yeah, I liked him at Michigan, but I don't know if he's ready.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ready yet, but I mean, Lundell, we'll see how he was another, 2020
Love Lundell, love Lomberg. Both of those guys are great.
Reinhardt's a good, responsible winger. He'll do well for them. We already talked about Verhaeghe.
They have Bill Zito's old buddy from back in his days with us, Zach Dalpe.
Isn't that the guy who like follows everybody on Twitter?
No, that's
Zach Boychuk, right?
That's Boychuk, yeah.
It's just one of those names where I'm like, I feel
it's
like
one of those names. Zach was on the Hurricanes, AHL player.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I love looking at former players and being like, oh yeah, I remember him.
For me, the other big question mark is, like, when he was drafted, I thought highly of Spencer Knight. I know he's had personal struggles, and I won't get into that.
Well, let's actually, I do think we should get into that, because that plays a little bit into how the 1 through 3 is going to be in net.
Well, I don't know who their third is. I just see Bobrovsky.
Anthony Stolarz.
Okay, so I mean, maybe, but Spencer Knight's being paid like, actually, he's being paid more than Korpisalo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they signed that deal.
Oh no, I'm incorrect. It's 3.35, but he's still being paid 3.35 mil. So he's being paid as a backup. You have now I'm going back to Korpisalo. You have what's his
easy
face?
to do.
It's
Bob. It's Bob.
Yeah, he's still your starter. He's making 10 mil for the next 3 years. So like, I feel like Stolarz is more of a guy they'll put on waivers and can be a goalie who they bring in if something happens. Bobrovsky isn't exactly known for being the pinnacle of healthiness. So
no, he's not. We could tell you all about that. Like,
yeah. So to me, it's like, that's a question mark.
Yeah, I do think it's funny. Like, we're talking about these two teams, and it's like, at least in the early stages, maybe for throughout the course of the season, like two very different teams. One team that's going to have to win low scoring games.
Mhm.
One team that's going to have to win some high scoring games.
It's like,
They're
yeah.
very different teams. And I think that's part of why that series was so fun to watch. But yeah, there's definite concerns with both these teams. And that's why it's so hard to pick them.
I still think, you know, that, you know, whatever Boston went through last year, Florida can rally behind that kind of energy.
Maybe. I think it's just different though, because Boston wasn't coming off a final appearance. They're coming off a first loss, like first
Right.
round loss. So I think there is such a gigantic difference in that, because the amount of rest you get for your summer being bound
That's
first round
fair.
compared to going all the way to the final, and also just what you go through mentally throughout that. I think it's a little different. So who knows? Like I still think Florida's a good team. I won't be surprised if they make the playoffs, but they're definitely not one of the two best teams in this division, who we should get to.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's look at their sister team in where do they play out of Tampa Bay? I'm an idiot. Oh my god.
St.
It's 'cause I'm
Petersburg.
thinking-
So you were thinking
It's
of the
because I'm
Rays.
thinking of how Florida it's in Sunrise. So I was
It's
just
in
like,
Sunrise, but
I
it's
was-
like
I
a
was
Miami
thinking-
market. Yeah.
yeah, I was
Where
thinking
does
of how I
Tampa
was gonna
Bay
have
play?
to. Yeah, I was
Tampa,
thinking-
What are
St.
they
Pete.
hiding from us?
You're thinking of the Rays, man. Like,
Yeah,
I
you're
know
thinking-
that's yeah.
Yeah.
Who anyway, we won't talk about the Blue Jays. Anyway, it's all good. I'm not that committed, so it's fine.
okay.
So,
Tampa
Tampa
Good.
has questions. Tampa's very good, but they do have like two big questions here.
I think
I
Uh,
think
The biggest
okay, yeah,
question,
go ahead.
like, obviously the biggest question is Vasi literally having carried this team on his back to the point where he needs surgery for the first couple of months of the year.
yes. I think it affects them and their standing in terms of the division. All they have to do is make the playoffs. Not only
We
does
know
he
that
get
much,
the
yeah.
rest, not only does he get the rest of this offseason being best in the first round, being hurt for the first 8 to 10 weeks is not the worst thing. It's not. I think it might actually increase their cup odds.
It just depends.
Really?
It depends on how they do in those first 2 months.
Yeah,
'cause, like,
like if it takes them out
without
of the playoff race, then no. But like if they make the playoffs, him missing time and having all this time off only
Mhm.
helps.
but like don't forget that they signed literally like one of the worst goalies in the NHL. Like they have what Jonas Johansson as their goaltender, and he is very, very bad. Like I would
Very
not be
bad.
surprised to see
He's
Tampa.
just big. He just stands in the net and a whole buckets.
Yeah, like,
I'm
he's-
high on Hugo Alnefeld's potential.
Sure,
Me
but
too, 'cause
it's
the
but
Tampa
like
goalie.
I don't think Tampa can mess around with their goaltending, right? Like I think they
No.
need someone who has a track record. That's why I'm saying like a guy like Jake Allen. Like the problem is Tampa has no cap space whatsoever.
They
So
will
I don't.
find a way.
Well,
Don't
here's a
worry, they're
funny
bad.
thing. Here's a funny thing. The waiver wire, like we're recording this on a Saturday. The waivers from Friday, Spencer Martin was on there, and we got him.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we're early
but-
in the waiver wire.
But like I get it, right? Like Columbus is in a place where they don't need to have a good goalie. Like you won't see Tampa picking up a guy like Dustin Tokarski, I don't think. But
I don't know.
No,
that would be.
you need a
Well,
legit
no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't know where they're gonna get help from. I think it'll have to be either a waiver wire like depth goaltender who has a track record. If it's not brilliant, which it's likely not going to be if they're on waivers, like someone who at least has games where they're not total garbage. But yeah, I don't know for them what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to clear out some
You
cap.
need
And they're gonna get a
wins
goalie in-
somehow.
They're going to trade for a goalie, in my opinion. And the goalie they trade for is not going to be a guy who started less than 20 games last season and doesn't have much of a track record in the NHL. They're going to get someone with experience. Jake Allen would make sense. They would have to find some cap space. So someone would have to conveniently get a surgery that would take him out of the lineup for 4 to 6 months. Not sure who would volunteer. We'll have to see.
You need the biggest thing is like you just need wins. You just need a goalie that can get you wins.
But I think that brings us to the second big question mark with Tampa, and that's their defensive core. Like Herbix kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't think he's like a bad defenseman, but
No.
it's like what like will you still see the same amount of success from him?
He's
You
a
have
third guy, I think.
yeah, you like have Sergachev
Yeah,
and Chernak, and that's like a good pairing. I have no issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin DeHaan, I actually quite like. I thought
love Calvin
he's a
DeHaan.
local guy, so he's from just outside. Well, technically, it's in the Ottawa area, but not in Ottawa. But Carp, he has a brewery there actually that I've been
Nice.
to. Nice little spot. But he's a guy who I thought the Sens would sign as a veteran local guy to replace Hamonic, but he goes on a really cheap min contract, like league min to Tampa. Bogosian though, that's the one that's
I like Bogo as a player. He's fine. You also like they brought in Hayden Fleury, and you know how Tampa can just bring in like anybody and then they'll just click.
To be honest with you, the defenseman that I think is actually gonna surprise some people hasn't been mentioned, and that's Darren Radish.
Oh, we love Darren Radish.
I like what I saw from him in the playoffs. They like him, what he's done in Syracuse.
Yeah,
I think he's a little undersized. How tall is he? He's 6'1".
Yeah, he's 6'1". He's 6'1", 200. He's fine.
Yeah,
and
you know
we like the Radish boys, like both of them. You know, ever since their days in Erie, when we started following our buddy Mark Shag in his Erie coverage. The Radish boys looked really, really good with Kat and Connor and all of those guys. But I'm excited. Yeah, I hope that Darren can actually get a chance this year with the Lightning, because it's about time he does something.
They also got Philippe Myers. That's depth from the gigantic.
Yeah, he's a guy.
He's big.
He is big.
He the Bogosian role.
Yeah.
He's tall. He's right-hand shot.
Yeah.
So GMs love that.
But I think where Tampa truly shines is their forward depth.
Yes, absolutely. And
Anderson, I think, is going to have a bounce back season. I like the addition of Connor Sheary. I like Tyler Mott. Austin Watson, I actually think kind of fits with them a little bit.
He does. So does Luke Glendening with the fourth line role. Hagel is going to really have...
I think Hagel's great.
I think Hagel's going to be fine. Obviously, we know guys like Kucherov are going to be fine. Tyler Mott coming in, our buddy Tyler.
I actually thought in the first like couple months with Ottawa, he looked good. It was just I think he had like a slight injury or something, and then when he came back, he just didn't look the same.
It didn't look great. Yeah,
I think that he'll be a good fit on Tampa, and it just didn't work out with the Sens.
Another former Senator, Nicholas Paul.
I do love year. It's Nick Paul, he can do it all. We love that guy.
I like that.
No, Nick Paul's definitely. So the season that he was traded from the Sens, it was weird. Like he was very cold offensively, and I think a lot of Sens fans have, what do you call that? Like a lot of hindsight on that trade. Like when Matthew Joseph,
okay.
Yeah, when Matthew Joseph came in, like he had 11 points in 12 games playing with Brady Tkachuk and I believe Josh Norris. They were really good. And then, last season, that summer he was due for a contract, and they gave him the contract he has now, the 4-year, 2.95, that now the Sens might have to offload in order to get Shane Pinto signed. And at the time, I thought it was I liked the deal from a perspective of him being a good defensive, good PK forward. And but the offensive stuff, like I was like, did he get paid because he had almost a point per game playing with top line players? To me, that was a bit sketchy. And I would have given, if I were in a position of power in the Sens front office, it would have been like a 1-year prove it deal.
I think
Sens fans are like a little salty from that perspective, that trade didn't work out. And then Nick Paul became much better on Tampa. He never really produced that well offensively, and I think just the makeup of Tampa helps him out quite a bit. And I don't think he would have done that in Ottawa. It's
a big, the loss of Alex Killorn for Tampa is going to hurt. And who knows whether
he got paid.
He did get paid by the Ducks of all teams. But I don't know if that's going to make room like more for Paul to have to step up, or
I don't
Sorelli.
think so. I think they're going to keep him in his role. The guys I think are actually going to have to step up for the Cologne role are probably going to be Connor Sherry or Tanner Jeannot. Now, Tanner Jeannot's kind of
Jeannot's a big question I wanted to have.
he's not going to match that offensive production, but I think that he's, I really he replaces Barclay Goodrow, who they never actually replaced. So I like that fit for him. It didn't really work.
That's a big. That's a lot of stuff to pay for Tanner Jeannot, though.
It is, but really, they paid a lot for Barclay Goodrow too.
They did,
and
then New York paid Barclay Goodrow handsomely enough.
Yeah, so I like the build-up of the forward group. I have no concerns about it. I have no concerns about the defense. Really, it just comes down to can they find a body in net who can stop literally 90% of the shots?
Yeah, I do have.
Get you a 900 save percentage, you're fine.
I have questions about Steven, though, after this year.
Because signing like cap space?
Yeah, because he obviously came out and said, like, we don't know what's going on, like, at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Leafs will, I don't know, send like 3 players to Robidas Island and then sign him somehow. Yeah. I don't know. He'll go back to
got the wrong 91.
Yeah, they did get the wrong
91. No, I'd be a little concerned about it simply because Tampa has usually been pretty fast when it comes to giving players extensions. They don't really let this kind of run down to the wire.
Well, especially with your captain that you've had forever.
I do think they will eventually get something done, but I think it's going to have to be Steven kind of coming to them and being like, look, I'll take a pay cut. But we have to get these conversations going.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to look at.
It's weird with obviously when you have a player that's been there his whole career, that's your captain, that's a face of your team.
Won 2 cups.
4
finals.
When you have a guy like that he's obviously coming towards the tail end of his career, but he also wants one more payday. Do you go somewhere else? That looks.
At the end of the day, they have to meet each other halfway. He has to take a little bit of a haircut, and they have to, they have to meet him there too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't let that guy walk. You have to do right by your player.
Right.
So, can they get together and do a 3-year deal that's worth somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5?
Because he's in that age range with we look at him the same we look at Sid and Ovi and some of these older guys, Marshy, especially when it comes to international competition. Where it's are we ever going to see these guys actually play in a best on best?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my biggest worry with Stammer is just
he's 33. He's still got another 3-4 really productive years in him, I think.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who'll last
but
a bit
with
longer
the
than your average
that
guy.
He's also had is very that's very concerning with him playing both center and wing.
But even after his biggest injury scare, he still came back and had one hell of a season, So it's I just can't count the guy out. Also, I will say, and this is you can't tell people, this is a secret.
Going on YouTube everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Back in the day before I moved to Ottawa, I was actually a fan. I didn't have a solidified fandom.
Okay.
I liked certain players, so I was a big Marty Brodeur fan. So New Jersey was my favorite team, just because I like Brodeur. Then I really liked Martin St. Louis, and I really liked Vinny Lecavalier.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 guys made me like Tampa early on, and so I kind of followed Tampa a little more closely when they drafted Stamkos. So I have a little bit of a soft spot for Stamkos. Even though Ottawa's now my favorite team, I have to hate Tampa because they're in our division.
Yeah.
I just can't like them.
We talk about this all the time.
Coaching the Habs now.
Yeah.
Sorry. What?
I said hard that Marty St. Louis is coaching the Habs.
Not really. I actually got to meet him at the draft last year. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was sitting at a do you guys know Will Scouch?
No.
He used to do He used to do like prospect videos and stuff on YouTube. He had really great content. Did a lot of like prospect profiles. Smart guy. Anyway, me and my girlfriend went to Montreal for the draft, and we were meeting up with him, having a chat. He was there on like scouting business, if you will. And anyway, we see a guy walk in to pick up some food from the pub. Well, it was none other than Marty St. Louis rocking his golf polo and a pair of chino shorts and some flip flops. So I was like, is that? And then they're like, yeah, that's Marty. And he walks in, he says something to the barkeep, he walks out, comes back in like 20 minutes later, and then he picked up some food. So I kind of walked over and was like, hey, Martin, can I get a photo? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so I got a photo with him. So that was actually really cool for me because I was like, man, like I don't even care. This guy's a head coach of the Habs now. Like he's a childhood fan favorite guy for me. So I have no ill will towards him. I'm actually really happy he got a coaching gig. I'm not obviously a fan of the
He was
Habs,
here for a cup of coffee working with the power play.
Yeah, I think it's cool that him and Vinny Lecavalier are both on the coaching staff there, and that Montreal kind of went off the cuff and grabbed some guys without any coaching experience in the NHL to just kind of jump on their roster and help out. They also have Alex Burrows on that coaching staff. They just have ex-NHLers on that coaching staff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like we just brought in Mark Recchi and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very cool bringing in
Dr. Recchi.
Dr. Recchi. It's fun bringing in former players into the staff. Anyway, yeah, wrapping it up with these guys.
Burn it.
I paid for this out of pocket, man. Like,
so they will win the division, probably lose in the first round.
It's weird following up like your first playoff series win in a decade and a half.
Yeah, but when we beat Tampa in 2019 and then we lost in the first round next year.
It happens. I think for Toronto, it'll at least give them more confidence that they've like conquered their demons. It's kind of like the whole, I don't know if you remember when Vancouver eliminated Chicago back in what was it 2010? It was like
Dragon Slayer stuff.
Yeah, they slayed the dragon. I think for Toronto, being able to beat Tampa, would beat them the previous year in 7, and then also just like not having to face Boston. I think that kind of was nice for them, even if they lost in 5. Like I think not having those traumatic memories haunt them.
I actually think that hurt them.
Interesting. Okay, we'll get to that. I just want to mention. I think that with Toronto, they still have that top end talent. Like they still have the big 3 in Matthews, Marners, Tavares, and then Nylander. I was thinking big 3 in terms of money.
Basketball.
But yes, I should have said
in terms of the money.
4 in terms of like the players, 4 main players that make up their core.
All right. So you have those guys. You have Matthew Nyes coming in, who's gonna be great.
Generational talent. The next Sidney Crosby, I hear. I get all my sporting news from Toronto Network, so I know that guy is gonna be better than McDavid, dude. Just watch.
Is that right?
I'm betting the farm on this kid. He's winning the Calder and the Conn Smythe.
I don't know. There's an Adam Fantilli kid that's gonna be.
Yeah, no, I'm and Toronto fans.
He scored more than Wayne.
Toronto fans, I know I'm jesting a little bit too hard. I think Nyes will be fine.
Shout outs to our buddies at Sticks of the Six.
Actually, the one
I have a 20-goal rookie season.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, that's actually possible.
It's really good. So, that's a good season.
Yeah.
So the big additions that they make, they go out and they get Max. They bring him home.
No defense.
They go out and they get Tyler Bertuzzi to replace Michael Bunting. I think he's going to be a better Michael Bunting.
Yeah,
for sure. Should be.
I hope so. They also, for some reason, spent $4 million on John Klingberg. No defense.
They also go out and they get Ryan Reeves.
no anything.
Like Morgan Riley and John Klingberg are both defensemen that are not known for the defensive capabilities.
I need them to be paired together, at least for a game. I need to see it.
Well, it's like how we need to see Petrie and Sherratt, right?
They will give up so many breakaways. It'll be so funny.
Yeah. So I don't know how that'll go. I like Lafferty. I think Lafferty and McCabe were good ads.
Yes.
Timmins has had a really, really good preseason for them.
Well, here's the problem. Timmy's going to be out long term. That just broke earlier today that Connor Timmins is going to be out.
Is he?
That guy can't catch a break.
No, he can't. Yeah, I don't know how
apparently
long.
Apparently, he can catch a break.
Breaking.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not cheering on injuries. That's too bad. I thought.
No.
I thought he'd be.
We get.
I thought he'd be a good option for the Leafs actually as a depth role, but that's too bad. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The Leafs kind of stinks. I'm not going to lie.
The top 6 for Toronto is obviously going to be some combination of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Bertuzzi, and probably Matthew Nyes is going to get the first edition, right?
You get Domi somewhere third line, probably Lafferty,
Robertson maybe on that third.
Robbie's a huge. I'm praying for this kid because like
I'm out on him.
He's another one that can't catch a break, really.
I'm willing to say it. I'm out on him, to be honest with you.
No, I just think like I mean I've only watched a bit of him, obviously preseason and a bit of last year. I think
because he can't play.
Yeah, like
he can't play because he's too injured too soon.
He's not a guy that I think will be like a top 6 forward for the Leafs, but I think he can, as long as he stays healthy, he can fit in on like a third line role for them.
I just don't think they know what to do with him, to be honest with you. Like I think his best, the best chance he has at really popping off in the NHL is being traded. I just don't see it in Toronto, especially with the emergence of Matthew Nyes.
I'd like to see Dallas take him, play with his brother, but that's a other.
Nick and Jason would be fun today. Yeah, Nick and Jason would be fun together. We know what this team is capable of doing, and we know what they're probably going to do.
Yeah, like I make fun of the holes on the back end defensively, but I think genuinely, like they have a good enough team to win the division.
Yeah,
McCabe going into his first full year in Toronto is going to be a nice first to second pairing guy with Brody. It's always been like we talked about this before, Jay, that really like is Mo the problem that they can't find a fit?
Yes.
Right? Like
absolutely is. And not to say he's a bad player. Like
no,
he's talented. I think that he can be
because they've tried Brody, they've tried Lily, they've tried Giordano. Like
the whole thing that like nobody has talked about over the last several years in terms of the playoff failure for the Leafs is simply the fact that he has always been deployed as a number 1 defenseman, and he's simply not a number 1 defenseman. He's talented, but he's not a number 1 defenseman, and he's getting paid like a number 1 defenseman.
Yeah, that's all I say on that.
I would love. Just for
I think he's a good
one game. Like you want the Klinger pair.
Yeah, Jack, I have to see it.
You want the Klinger pair? I want the Benoit pair.
Benoit?
Simone Benoit season, yo.
Christ.
I think for me the other question is not goaltending in terms of Ilya Samsonov's capabilities.
No, Sammy
he's a good goalie. For me it's like, can he stay healthy? Because Martin Jones and Joseph Woll are not world beaters. I know fans really liked Woll last season.
They don't have to be.
No, but with Toronto, it's like they've had their goaltending woes, whether it be James Reimer, Matt Murray barely even had a cup of coffee there.
I feel so bad for him.
I feel bad for him as a person, but like Sens fans know all about that, right?
Yeah.
He was on the Sens for 2 seasons, and I think one of those seasons he was on IR 5 to 7 times on IR.
It was awful.
So yeah, he's a guy who health hasn't been on his side. So Samsonov's gonna have to carry a lot of weight. I don't see Martin Jones being like, he might be decent, but I don't think he'll be their savior, And Joseph Woll, like we'll see how he plays. I'm not considering him a cast off yet. To me, it's just kind of like he doesn't have a lot of experience. So he played well last season. Can he carry that over? We'll see.
The biggest changes that really were made in Toronto, since Dubas left and Tree came in, is Tree wants to surround guys, like he wants to surround these 4 guys with players that they don't need babysitters anymore. But I do think that guys like Reeves and some of these bigger guys are going to help them kind of shape that in themselves.
I
I don't
disagree.
know.
I disagree. I just don't think they have that in them. They've been trying to tinker around the edges and bring in physical guys all along. The problem is that when you look at some of these teams that have had so much success in the playoffs and have won, those guys have it in them themselves. Nathan
Yeah.
McKinnon's not going to take your shit. Sidney Crosby's not going to take your shit. Evgeny Malkin's not going to do it. Ovi's not going to do it. These guys who have cups, Stamkos won't. Nikita Kucherov won't, certainly.
Yeah, right.
They don't push back. Matthews needs to push back. Marner needs to push back. These guys don't do it. And that's why you can bring in as many bottom 6 grinders all you want. That doesn't change the fact that when those guys are on the ice, the guys who have to make an impact, that's when they can attack them.
And I'll give you a good example. So in the second preseason game that the Sens played versus the Leafs, Tarasenko laid a good hit on Matthews in the neutral zone, and Matthews went down. Tarasenko immediately like turns around and kind of looks to see if anybody's coming for him. Like he pauses for a second in his play, and then he goes after the puck again. Nobody went after him. And Ryan Reeves was in the game, but he was on the bench. And so it's like he can't do anything if your top line is playing another team's top line. I know it's preseason, so
you can't come off the bench like that.
It's relative,
like,
but
regardless.
like he's never going to be on the ice at the same time as Tarasenko in this scenario, unless you are the home team and you decide, okay, this matchup, the Sens are going to play their second line. Let's put out our fourth line. Like, it's not really a smart thing to do as a coach. So it's like, when is Ryan Reeves going to get revenge on the Sens for something like that? It just doesn't happen. So to me, it's like Ryan Reeves, they probably added because of Arbor Jacki. Then Bruins go out and they add Milan Lucic. And then the Sens go out and add Zach McEwen because they all want to have that guy who can punch people.
I feel like they all need that one guy.
But none of those guys are playing on the top line. They're just gonna they're all gonna be on fourth lines or bottom pairing. So to me, it's you basically going back to what Jay said, like you need the big name players to answer or do something. Show that they're not going to take it. Yeah, exactly.
And that's a guy who just won a cup.
Yeah. Like you need your leaders to step up and be like, hey, listen, we're not going to take this crap. And that was the biggest thing about the Leafs is they're a team that doesn't have a like a Brady Tkachuk.
They're too nice.
Or just a Mark Stone or like some leader who they don't have to necessarily be physical, but a leader that brings them into the fight and like has some anger and maybe Bertuzzi would be that for them. I think that was actually a good add because he's a guy with top 6 skill and he has that edge to his game.
He's got a lot of bite. Yep.
But
so does Max.
Yeah, but
both of these guys being on 1 year.
So it's like how much edge are you going to get for them? How long will they be with the team? We'll see if it works for them this year, but I liked their roster last year better. I thought going into the playoffs last year was their best chance at winning the cup, and they got knocked out in 5 in the second round. So we'll see. Definitely, I think they'll be good in the regular season, but I think they're going to need to add a top 6 talent that has that edge and bite to their game that can help take them to the next level when it comes playoff time.
And it's hard to do that with having to utilize so much LTIR space just to stay level.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that I'm looking at, I'm like the right side of the defense stinks. I like Timothy Liljegren.
I do like Timmy.
Not a top pair guy. Who else do you have beside him on the right side? Connor Timmins, who is you just said is hurt.
I mean, Brody can play
TJ Brody. He's been playing.
Brody can play the right side, but
he's been playing the right side. So
he's been. I don't know if he's necessarily best suited for the right side. So I think that's another part of their roster that kind of restricts them. You some of the issues with this roster is you have to put guys in certain spots that they don't necessarily do the best in. They're not bringing out the full potential in all these guys.
I'm hearing like just in my head, I'm hearing people like just in comments, if we ever got comments being like, talk about Easton Cowan. And I mean, like
Easton's prospect, but
Easton's been fun, but like he's going back to junior guys. That's the only way that can happen.
And on like one last note, because I'm a Sens fan, I have to do this. Like comparing what the Leafs are doing with guys like Brody, putting him on his offside, like that's something that happens, with Ottawa. Like Tarasenko played the last preseason game on his off wing. He's played right wing like his entire career, but because the Sens were like, well, we want someone to play left wing, and you have a left shot, he's been playing there. The top pairing of Chikrin and Shabbat, both guys have predominantly played the left sides in their career. But Ottawa's been running Shabbat on his offside this preseason to see how they work together.
Which
Ottawa's,
I think is the way to go.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. I think Shabbat,
I
struggled.
hate throwing my hands up in the air like this, but like Willie playing center.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Like he's a good player, so we'll see how it works out. And he's a good two-way player, so
yeah,
it's interesting. It's an interesting choice. But teams do that. They try to make things work. So I don't know. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. But lines are easy to shuffle around. So.
And we all of us know how much Keith loves his blender.
And this is the other thing when we talk about coaching, because I do think this division's got a lot of good coaches, even all the way at the bottom. I think Marty St. Louis is a good coach. Love what Donnie Meatballs is doing.
You love your Donnie Meatballs, that's
love
right.
me some Donnie Meatballs, obviously. God, what's his name in Florida? Maurice just took him.
Paul Maurice, yeah.
Maurice. Jim Montgomery just won Coach of the Year. John great. But Sheldon Keefe, I do think is a good coach. I was shocked that they gave him that extension.
Yeah,
sorry, this is semi on topic. Speaking of coaching, I really like that they brought in Guy Boucher.
Guy Boucher is a nice add.
He did not have a nice end in Ottawa. He got kind of repetitive in his media scrums and stuff. Yeah. But honestly, I'm really interested in how that'll work out, because he was a guy who studied sports psychology.
Well, that was back in We're a Team days, and I don't know if you want to revisit those.
No, his biggest thing was rest is a weapon. Yeah, rest is a weapon, baby. That was when Erik Karlsson was calling the shots on whether he would go to practices or not. And the coach had to kind of find a way to cover that, I think. But anyway, yeah, I think Guy Boucher is a guy he's really good at not just like the 1-3-1. I think a lot of people know him for that, but he's good at coaching defense. Your team won't be exciting, but they'll be good at defense. Now, I think bringing him on the staff, Sheldon Keefe will still be able to have his game, do his thing, whatever he wants with tactics. But I think Boucher will probably be like, hey, here's where we can tighten up better. Here's where this can be fixed. That can be fixed. And we'll see if it has an impact. But I do think if you want to win playoff games, Guy Boucher has shown on a limited shelf life, he can give you one good run. The Sens saw it 2017. Tampa saw it in 2011.
Yep.
He can give you a good run. Your players will get tired of it. Chris Neil has openly stated that he did not like Guy Boucher. They had their differences. And that's how it's going to be. Some players will buy into the system. They'll enjoy it and it'll get them success, but it might cost points. And some players see the cost of points and we're like, well, next contract, how much am I going to get paid if I lose 20 points, even if our team sees success?
Yeah.
So I know we're running long, and
sorry.
Like you got Jay syndrome right now with the rambling.
That's fine. I think it's so fun because you went on that rant about him, and I agree with you.
But because I wanted to talk about DJ.
Just the thought about
as much as sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Just the thought of Guy Boucher having to work with John Klingberg and Morgan Riley just has me laughing my ass off.
Maybe that's why they brought him in.
Maybe that's why. Well, I just wanted to mention DJ really quick because I know I have Ottawa high in my predictions, but DJ.
So the fan base is really conflicted. I think, well, I don't even know if really conflicted is the right word. I think a lot of the fan base wants to see DJ fired. I might have been in that camp at a previous point in time. A lot of people are like, there's no defensive system, which is absolute bogus. It's just a cop-out because people want him fired. People want Dorian fired. So they're like, oh my God, if Dorian can't get our third line center signed before the season starts, fire him immediately. And it's like, no, that's not how you build a good culture. For me,
is that just, and I hate saying this as, an American
Canadian market.
Is that just Canadian market? Is that just Ottawa and Toronto where you're like micromanaging every little thing as a fan?
So definitely Canadian markets, it is extremely under the microscope. Like
Yeah.
when the Sens signed Zach McEwen to a 3-year deal at league minimum, a contract that can be buried, people were freaking out and they wanted Dorian fired. I'm like, guys, listen, this dude is gonna only come into the lineup when he needs to punch heads, like Jackeye or like rival games, Reeves. Even if he loses the fights, that is literally his role, is to like
Right.
be a punching bag so that nobody else in the roster has to take it. Yes, is it not a great use of cap space? Sure, it's league minimum, so his contract is negligible in my mind. With DJ Smith, so I was at the Sens Fan Fest that happened, and during practice, DJ Smith and Brady Tkachuk were skating around for at least a few minutes, just chatting, skating around before practice got underway. There's a very close bond between the captain and the coach. If you fire DJ Smith, I don't know how many coaches are out there that would actually be good replacements for him, where the team would necessarily have good results under. Like Claude Julien is a guy who lives in the Ottawa area.
Mm-hmm.
He has a good track record as a coach. Sure, maybe him, but like the players have buy-in with DJ Smith. They love him as a coach. They respect him as a coach. It's like, to me, yes, you having a coach who's a really good tactician helps, but having a coach who can keep this team cohesive through a rebuild, mind you,
Right.
they still love and respect him after 4 years or what have you. To have that guy then have the pieces in place finally to be able to really lead this team to the playoffs, I'm willing to see if he can have a good October, November, then hey, I'm on board. And I'm flying out with the team, not the team, sorry. The team is organizing a trip to Stockholm to see the Sens play
you're
2 games.
going.
I'm going on that, and going to be supporting the boys. It was 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago that they went out to November, and people called it the November from hell, really, because after after they came back, it was the 2017-18 season, and that's when the Sens fell apart. Ottawa made that trade to bring in Matt Duchene, and the season never got back on the rails. And the rest is history, as they say. But no, I think DJ Smith, for me, he's earned a chance. He's a coach who's happy to embrace analytics. He's happy to call other coaches. He's talked about calling Pete DeBoer and getting some coaching tips from him. I believe he's also called Bruce Cassidy.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, I mean, hey, DeBoer has a good track record.
I like Pete DeBoer, but like still, that's kind of like
Bruce Cassidy, obviously, definitely a little higher up in the pecking order, but
a little shaky leading off of Pete DeBoer there.
Yeah, but like he also talking to Bruce Cassidy, it shows he's a coach who's willing to learn, get tips, and it's nice to see that other coaches in the NHL aren't like gatekeeping, their knowledge and all that. So, to me, I like him. I think maybe his staff support could be better. Like Capuano, I guess, is fine. I don't really have many.
I was stunned when you pulled that name out. I had no idea he was the assistant.
Yeah, actually, and the Sens denied him the ability to go interview with the Buffalo Sabres. Or whenever they made a coaching change, he wanted to interview with the Sabres, and the Sens denied him that.
Man.
So it's interesting to see that he's like seemingly still on good terms with the team and everything. So we'll see how it plays out.
Well, yeah, it's
the thing.
All right.
If you do have to fire DJ Smith, at least Babcock's available.
Okay, get this guy off the street right now.
It's our show, bro.
I don't care, Buddha. I'm taking over this joint now.
Well, Matt, it's been a blast with you. I know we ran way longer than we probably should have.
That's okay. I need to go eat supper.
No,
I haven't even eaten supper yet.
No, we feel it. We feel it. Go ahead, and plug away. Plug your stuff.
Oh yeah,
we'll get you out of here.
Sure, yeah. On Twitter or X, I love doing the little like X. It's my handle is Senstennial Matt, all one word, or just Senstennial if you want to find the podcast. We mostly keep to Sens related stuff, but every now and then we react to whatever the latest and greatest in the NHL is. And yeah, like that's kind of the main spot where we're at. So you can find us there. And thank you to you two for having me on. This was a lot of fun, marathon or not.
Twitter and X, YouTube, right? Because you're on YouTube
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean, like, there's not going to be much that you find under Senstennial that isn't us. So if you look that keyword up, I'm sure you'll be able to find us wherever you spend your time on social media or YouTube. So, but yeah, thanks for letting me plug my stuff, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk shit about the Atlantic Division.
Always, buddy, and we want to thank you for coming on for this, because it's always really fun getting to hang out with friends like this. Obviously follow us where we are: YouTube JJ Jackets, Twitter JJ Jackets Pod, all of that stuff. Follow all of our family at THPN. Go do the DraftKings thing. Go do all of that fun stuff. And we'll see you probably for the Metro next, right?
Hell yeah.
Let's talk about our boys next.
Bring it home.
Well, not quite yet.
Fantilli for Calder.
Fantilli for Calder. Let's
J.
go.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.